All right, everybody. Welcome to the Hidden Pearls podcast. This is actually the first big studio setup we've had at your barn, George. So way to christen it, Travis.
Let's go.
Travis Kelce. What a guy. All right, well, welcome.
Building. We had to come in and do it right.
I know your jersey's hanging over there, so we'll get a picture with you later. But let's do a little bio for the people. Also, just Travis, thank you for enduring a storm.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, raining like crazy
weather.
here.
Through it all, baby. Through it all.
That's commitment. That's all it is.
I love it.
Tiny planes and storms,
High
winds.
high character. Just
we love that.
builder
I
of a
wasn't
flight.
gonna let a little weather get in the way of this.
No, getting uncomfortable. We were just talking about getting outside of our comfort zones.
And it's talking to us still right now.
Literally.
It's like, don't speak too soon, Travis.
All right, well, let's get into a little bio on our guy. So grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yep.
With his mom and dad and older brother Jason.
Yeah.
Three-sport athlete, excelling as a quarterback on your high school football
Excelling
team.
is it's a bold word, but I hear
Played
you.
college ball at the University of Cincinnati,
Long time
and
ago,
in
just let it
senior
go.
year was first-team All-Conference. Drafted by the Chiefs in the third round of the 2013 NFL Draft. He has won 2 Super Bowls, sadly, against the Niners. That was tough.
Thank you, Emma.
But J-Lo was there, so that was okay.
J-Lo was
and in
there.
2023 versus the Eagles.
And Shakira.
Shakira
That was
there.
crazy, too.
Yeah,
He's
Eagles
also-
Both those concerts.
Actually, both of those games were pretty wild.
Yeah, that was a lot of emotions.
Pretty wild.
Tough. He is also an 8-time Pro Bowler and a 4-time first-team All-Pro selection. He holds the NFL record for most consecutive and most overall seasons with 1,000 yards receiving by a tight end with 7. He also owns the record for most receiving yards by a tight end in a single season with 1,416.
Stole that from George?
I
That
know.
you did.
Yep, you did. Yep, you did that too.
Too bad there weren't any fans in the crowd for all those
Dude, not nobody.
empty stadiums. You guys had interruption, but you guys had fans at KC a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, we actually had 20%, and then it got up to like 60%
We
by
were
the time
0%.
playoffs came.
It was wild.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
sad
hurts.
times.
It was the.
That hurts.
That's the worst. We can talk about that later. That was one of the worst.
You were in
experiences.
Arizona.
Arizona, I think there was there's 100 people in the whole stadium.
It was just us.
Now, you've played at Arizona, right? It's the most AC heavily.
Oh, you
built.
know
It's the
it.
coldest stadium I've ever played in my entire life.
Yeah, and the grass is absolutely miserable year round.
Year-round.
Year round. I don't know how they do it. They literally grow it every day.
I know, it's crazy. I'm pretty sure
crazy.
they have 2 fields too. It's crazy. That's right. We like grass though. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Okay, and during the 2022 season, he became the fastest tight end to reach 10,000 career receiving yards, and only the 5th tight end in NFL history to reach this milestone. And probably the most important that we need to remember, and most impressive, is in June, he was the first recipient of the TEU, Tight End University, Tight End of the Year Award. Congratulations, Travis Kelce. Welcome to the podcast, my dog.
Man, those accolades are crazy. I'll tell you what, tight end you, baby. It's always a blast. I appreciate you guys always hosting that thing for us out here. It's an honor to be here, guys.
Yeah, it's good to have
As
you.
always is.
Yep.
You guys are one of the funnest families to ever be around. So I'm upset already that I missed Kittle Fest, but I'm glad we could get this in the books and have some fun on the mic.
Yeah, it's really good. Well, it's special for us to get 2 Travis Kelce bumps in one summer, so it's a pretty big deal. man. So it's really fun. So we're really glad to have you here. Okay, well, you just came. I know you came from Kansas City, but right before that, you've been playing golf. So I did a little looking. So I think you and Patrick were in Las Vegas, right, at the match?
Yes.
And you guys golfed together, and there you beat Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in Capital One's called The Match, right?
Yep.
Is that
yeah,
correct?
we teamed up. It was a scramble format, so it was a real like team golf type
Okay.
effort. Me and Pat were ham and egging it. Whenever he hit a bad shot, I hit a good one. Whenever I hit a bad shot, he hit a good one. It was kind of like we were trading off all the good shots there, and we got after the Splash Bros.
Okay,
Was
so
it hot out there in Vegas?
It was steamy. It was.
Yeah,
sticky.
your outfit, you got some flack for it. You're like, hey, that's gonna be hot.
I
knit one?
had the booty sweat going, man. It was bad. It was real bad. The wrong choice, but it was still. You know what? When you look good, you play good, baby.
Which you did.
G knows that. Feel good.
All right.
Everything's going.
Well, then this last weekend, Tahoe, right? So you're at the American Century Championship Celebrity Golf Tournament, which this one, I believe Steph won.
He won. Yeah. No, I didn't even come close. When it's one-on-one, Steph is clearly the best golfer.
He's pretty good golfer.
Yeah, he's way better than me, definitely.
Okay, but
You
you did
played
win.
you played your own ball the entire time.
The entire time, yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah, for 3 days straight. You play a practice round with some sponsors.
But you played 4 straight days of golf.
Yeah, it was.
18
I'm
holes a day.
not made for that.
That's a lot.
I'm not
of
made
golf.
for that.
Sounds brutal.
That's swinging the club, and you know me. I want to hit the ball as hard as I can off
Every
the
time,
tee.
why would you not?
Yeah,
Which
because I
it
want to
sounds
see
like
it fly.
you did, though, when you won the longest drive competition.
I did, and that was the furthest, straightest ball I've ever hit in my life.
362 yards.
362.
Yeah, that was
That's a lot. That's like 3.5
Is that in
football
the air
fields.
or is
That was in the air. It carried 360, and it probably got around like 380 by the end of it. It was kind
That's
of going
fun.
downhill. Yeah, no, it felt immaculate. It felt like I actually had some power.
Do you know what the closest runner-up was?
Adam Thielen carried the ball 330 just about. So he actually had
Dang.
Yeah, it was
All right,
impressive.
Adam.
Yeah. Adam was out there.
Shout out Adam.
Steph Curry and Pat Mahomes, they were up at the top of the leaderboard at around 320.
Yeah, I saw that.
But yeah,
Was that the
came
first
away
day?
with the gold. $5,000 in my charity. What'd you say?
Was that the first day you guys did that?
Yeah, that was the practice round. That was the practice where it was just a scramble. You can just go up there and not care where it went. From what I understand, nobody else's was in the fairway. Mine hit the fairway, so it felt really good.
Important to know.
That's a
Important to
win.
know.
That's just a W.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you said you took your dad, right?
Yeah, Pops was with me.
Yeah.
Big Ed Kelce, baby.
So that's pretty cool. So I guess I'm wondering, so I know you and Patrick played. Were you matched up with anybody else fun? And I guess I'm always, when you go to those kind of things, because I was looking at the list, there's all kinds of people there. And you said your dad had a really good time meeting. Was there anybody that you got to bump into that you were kind of a fan of growing up that was kind of cool to bump into?
This year, I would say a guy that I'm a sports lover. I'm a sports fanatic. It kind of drives the fuel for my love for the game of football. But I love going to all events and everything like that. And I think in 2016 or 17, the Chicago Cubs were playing my Cleveland Indians at the time, Cleveland Guardians, in the World Series. And we were up 3-1, and the Cubs came back and got us.
I know, we were
and there was a
Cubs
guy
fans.
on that team, Dexter Fowler. And
Yeah.
man, when I tell you he's a ride, he's such a good time. He's such a good dude to play around with, to hang around with, have a few beers with. And we were ripping it a little bit, but me and Pat played with Josh Allen for 2 days. Josh is a stick now.
he
He's
plays
really
a
good
lot
at golf. Yeah, he's really good at golf, just an all-around athlete.
He was sponsored by PGA at the Masters.
What?
Yeah, like he had like a little deal
wow.
with them or something like that.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay,
It
Jay
was
Allen.
so sick. That was
I
so
didn't see
awesome.
that coming. But it was athletes, entertainers. Miles Teller was there. Chase Crawford was there. Both of them great dudes. I've met Miles through being a Philadelphia fan, going to the Super Bowls and stuff, and then just hanging around some fun times or some fun events from there. And so it's just a melting pot of just good people. And American Century does a great job of just bringing in the right ones. I'm not gonna lie. I told you before I went I was gonna start shopping your name around, make sure everybody knew you were gonna come next year.
See if I could sneak in there.
That's pretty good. Did your dad have a favorite?
Oh, he was having a blast. I got to introduce him to Steve Young. I'm pretty sure he ran into Charles Barkley. He ran into a bunch of guys that we all
Chuck,
grew
Big
up.
Chuck.
Yeah,
Run
you
into
can't
him.
say enough about Chuck, man. He's so cool. I played with him my first 2 years, and he's just so much fun, man.
Right.
Just high energy. When he hits a bad shot, he lets everybody hear it, which is cool. Gets that negative emotion out and then just keeps it going. But he's a great guy. My dad was just, after the second day, he's just kind of watching guys tee off and just being around the group, and was just like, man, this is cool to be able to just be a fly on the wall and kind of enjoy it all with me is, and that's what I really wanted to do. I took my mom to the ESPYs, and then I told Dad, why don't you come out to Tahoe and see some athletes and entertainers,
That's
Is your
great.
dad a golfer?
He's the reason why I got into golf for sure. He gave me a golf club when I was a kid, but I would say my mom was actually into it as well. She actually did it on more of the business side, where my dad just did it because he liked to have fun.
Oh, yeah.
My mom, which was working for the bank growing up, they would always have the business golf outings and stuff, and she would go up there and rip it. And she always had the better clubs. We always had the Play It Again Sports set.
Oh, but
where
she
it was
had real stuff?
Yeah, she had real stuff.
She needed it for work.
Exactly. So we were ripping it, but she had some TaylorMades back in the day.
Oh, that's pretty
Awesome.
cool.
Maybe
All right.
bring her through tight end U one year.
I know, right?
She
Yes.
seems like a
no.
good time.
Oh,
From seeing
listen.
her on your podcast.
Donna Kelce, she's the absolute best. She's an angel too. Absolute
Yeah.
sweetheart. I love her.
That's awesome.
Well, we do too.
Can't say enough about her.
All right. Well, we'll say more about her a little
That's
bit
where I
later.
get all my athleticism from too.
That's
my
what we
dad,
say about
my dad
mom,
says
too.
it. My dad says it.
Yeah, that's my mom.
Go off, Jan.
Shout out moms.
All right, so I want to know when was the first time that you guys met each other? Do you remember?
It was preseason his rookie year, right? Was
No,
it?
it was 2018, we played you guys like second game of the year.
That was your
well,
first.
I knew it was early.
Was that your first NFL game?
Second NFL game, pretty sure. It was like 2018. Yeah, we went into KC, maybe third week.
It was a very loud stadium.
Very loud.
It gets rowdy. It gets rowdy.
He gets a little rowdy. Yeah, no, that was our first time. Yeah, 2018. It was an absolute
Yeah.
blast.
I remember seeing him pregame, and I was like, that's the dude, that's the guy right there, man.
Hi.
He's got high energy.
So, hi, Travis.
What's up?
Hello,
Good
Mr.
kid?
Hey, Mr.
What's up,
Kelce.
kiddo?
Hello.
How you doing, dude?
Hi.
Hi, Mr.
You
Kelce.
ripping it or what, dude? You gonna have something? You get some balls thrown your way today or what?
I had a couple. Yeah, that was a fun day for both of us, actually.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, no, we both had a good game. Yeah, you had a sick one-handed catch over one of our linebackers on the sideline. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if your eyes were open either.
No, I just threw my
He
hand
just
up.
was like this, and he's like, oh,
I just
hey.
threw my hand up. I
Hey,
actually
I was
got
sick.
locked up on that play.
Yeah, you got
it was
locked
great
up.
defense, and the ball just
Great
happened
ball.
to be only where I could get it. I just threw my hand up, threw a prayer up, and it came in. Yeah, that was a fun game for me at least. We ended up winning that
Yeah,
game.
you definitely won that one. I had fun too. Early on in your career, it's just like you're playing football. Like every game's just an
Electric.
absolute- yeah, it's every game's just so much fun. Especially you're playing at great stadiums too.
Yeah.
Like when the crowd's into it, everyone's oh yeah, dude, it was an absolute blast. That was like one of Patrick's first highlight games too, because like he had a play like he like ran to
That
left.
was Patrick's.
That was like
second
one of
game,
his
yeah.
first like blowout games where he just like everyone was like holy.
Went
cow,
from
this
like
guy
one side of the numbers to the other numbers.
just got
and
two defensive ends, hit a guy in the back corner. We're like,
Chris Conley.
ooh,
Okay.
he's decent. Oh my
All
goodness.
right now, this guy can sling it.
Just a
Okay.
little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Kelce story, or do you have a favorite George story? Either one that you experienced or
Question.
that you kind of heard through the rumorville. That's
We've had a couple of really fun interactions off the field.
okay.
Yeah. I
We
mean,
did a tight end trip in Vegas one time, and
Dude,
he
that
brought
was-
all the Chiefs tight
I
ends.
was
brought all
just
the
gonna
Niners tight ends.
mention that. That was a riot.
That was really fun. He came, I don't know, like you came in like right from your flight to the pool party, and that was a very fun, eventful day.
Yeah. What really happened, what even juiced it up even more, is that as I was going to the pool party, I just stopped at the roulette table and just threw a little bit of, and ended up slapping for like 35
Yeah.
grand.
And then you,
And and was like, now we can go to the pool party.
no,
So yeah, didn't leave the pool with anything less. I came out even after the pool.
Right.
Yeah, we had some good times, man. That was fun. I remember being in the pool with my shoes and jersey on. I had a Sean Kemp jersey on.
you had a
that
Sean Kemp jersey, you had matching shoes, and then we ended up throwing your shoes into the pool.
day. Good times.
It was a great time. Yeah, then my tight end coach John Embry was there too, and he just
Yeah,
smoked
Embo,
cigars.
baby.
Yeah, no, it was a great. There was like 12 NFL tight ends just hanging out at the pool party.
Heck yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so that was really fun.
My favorite memories of George are just his emergence, his like getting on the scene, is like seeing this dude with the ball in his hands and just flying around, blocking everybody, just being ferocious on film. I used to get like, well, not that I don't anymore, but I was getting excited just turning on San Fran's film to see what 8-5 was out there doing. And man, it was just a fun to see him enjoy it, kind of just jump on the scene and just run with it, man.
I appreciate that, Trev.
Nah, it's
Yeah.
real.
Game appreciates game.
Yeah, I mean,
really good.
Yeah, I think coolest memory for me was actually like, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember when it was. It was kind of like later in 2018, because I was having a really good season, and I don't know how I got connected with your phone number, and like you like hit me up on Instagram and said, hey, that was a great game. I was like, wow. And you gave me your number. I was like, I have Travis Kelce's number. It's one of the coolest things. 'Cause I was just such a fan at the time too, because like it was because 2018, it was like that was kind of end of Gronk's career, but it was like you and Gronk, and then no offense to anybody else, but like it was a little tier down below that because there were like older guys getting out, but it was just kind of cool to have a relationship with one of the top guys in the league, and you were just so fucking cool to me. So that was pretty fun for me.
I knew he had good energy, man. I was like, I gotta get around this guy.
That's about
You
it.
gotta
As
get
you
him,
guys
get him
know.
on the way in.
You know it.
All right, very cool. All right. Well, so speaking of doing stuff together, we mentioned tight end you. So we're working on that kind of thing. And I guess I just wanted to kind of bounce that this year was great. We had like 75 guys in.
That we did.
And I had a great time. So it was super fun about that. So I just kind of curious, and I know you guys have hit this a lot. We don't have to hit too much, but just, so year 3 and it's a lot of energy and effort and all that kind of stuff. The guys seem to really dig it. I thought day 2 was amazing. I thought Jordan Reid was unbelievable. His stuff, his tape, and it's just really cool how he thought about things. And then the time that you spent doing what you do. Although, Trev, every time you go, you'll just feel it. It's intuitive. And I'm like, dude, it's not intuitive. You do for everybody else in the league. It's like you do things that Travis Kelce does, like not everybody else can do.
They can feel that.
Because
they can feel
you
doing
come
the
out
right
there and you do
things.
this little wiggle thing. You go, you'll just feel it when you get to 10 yards. I don't think so, man. But I don't know. I appreciate you saying that.
No, that's the hardest part though, is being able to understand like how my game is and trying to give guys just little nuggets of gold that they can take and run with it.
Articulating articulating it's very difficult sometimes because you have there's a mindset behind what you do and the practice that you put in behind it, like trying to break it down to the basics of it. It's really not basic what you're doing. That's the grand that's the bottom line.
But you want to try and make it seem, like it's attainable, right?
And doable. Which it is.
Yeah, exactly. Which I do believe it is. Yeah. Just the right situations, man. The right situation, taking advantage of opportunities. But I thought it was a blast. Everybody seemed like they took a lot out of it. And on top of that, I took a lot out of it, and had a blast trying to, tell everybody about my game and listening to Jay Reid and George and even Dad when Olsen's out there talking. Man, I love hearing his just love for the game and his passion.
Is that true?
Man, it's so much fun being around him.
He's just down there barking out. We're going to go corner routes or we're doing dig routes, and he's just getting the whole crew going and all that stuff. It's great. Now, speaking of takeaways, all right, there was a little on your new podcast. I heard a little discussion that came up about the towel drill.
Oh yeah,
is that right?
Jason's
I heard we got
a stubborn son of a gun. All right, he calls it. He said, "If I'm going to do that, I'm just going to get on the board." I'm like, "It's the same thing. Why are you arguing?" You can you just don't have to take the board into your living room. You can just do the towel drill in your living room.
Now, here's why we got rid of the board. So and he may disagree.
Smaller steps.
Smaller steps. We don't the width of the board, because they always want to use like a 1 or 2 by 6. So that 6 inches is like, now your legs are too, you're too wide, and it takes too long to get there, and it doesn't really, we don't think, replicate what you do in a game.
I think his cat out is a little wider too because of it. See, Jason, get out of position.
There you go. So anyway, well, I just, now clearly proof's in the pudding. Your man can go. He can take care of business.
Okay.
So I'm not getting on his game at all. But so that's
we're getting the job done for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man. He's such a great player. So okay, and then I was trying to think what the final donations were. Over 800,000 this year. Yeah, which was amazing. So that's a really cool event.
Blows my mind that we can raise that much money.
Yeah, Bridgestone and Charmin, and we've had
that's
some
awesome.
Yeah, all our sponsors have been terrific. So
that's
a
big
really
shout
good.
out to Rubicon, man. They do a great job of hosting that thing and really bringing in the right sponsors and the right people, man.
Yeah, and then just let's do a word on the literacy thing we did.
Yeah.
So that was really cool too. So George, you want to intro that just a minute?
Yeah, we were able to take, I think it was, we had like 20 guys show up, tight ends.
Yeah, either 16 or 18, I think. Yeah, it was
16,
really good.
18 tight ends showed up. We went to a high school and got to sitting there with a bunch of kids ranging, it was like elementary school up, was it 8?
We had about 40 junior high, 5th and 6th graders, and then we had 120 high schoolers.
Which was crazy to have all those kids in one room.
Yep.
And everyone's like super pumped there because you see NFL tight ends. I mean, when I was a kid, it's like NFL players were superheroes.
Dude, superheroes.
Yeah, superheroes.
Could you imagine? When I was in high school, I never saw, unless I went to a sporting event, I never saw a professional athlete.
No, so for taking the time to have that big of a group go in there and talk about literacy, and a couple of us broke off, hung out with the 5th and 6th graders, got to read Calvin and Hobbes, which was really fun for me. Donated a bunch of Calvin and Hobbes books to all of them.
Nice.
And it was fun too because I got I got half of them hooked. We were doing in a circle, we were taking turns reading each square of the comic, and there were about half the kids in my group were just reading ahead, and they were 10 pages ahead by the end of it, which is pretty fun. So that was awesome. And then in the big room, you guys were with the high school kids, which is awesome. Interacting with all these kids, and they get to sit with you, ask you questions, and really just hang out because at the end of the day, we're football players, but we are just we're just dudes. We love playing football, we love our sport, but hanging out with the kids and talking about reading, we really thrive with that, and we do a good job with that. So having all those guys out there talking literacy, I know all the kids loved it, and they had a great time.
Oh man, tight ends did a great job. How was your table?
My table, I got lucky. I got hit with a bunch of ball players. We had a whole bunch of high school football kids. So the literacy talk, we knocked out what we needed to knock out, and then all of a sudden you started getting it. Who hits the hardest? All the fun questions. So we got 2 things done at once because, like I was saying, just to have a a professional athlete or somebody in your field that you dream about being in around you that you know, a familiar face. I remember you guys have no idea who this kid is, and it was or who this guy is. I was in middle school, and there was a gentleman that had got drafted into the NBA and traded to the Cleveland Cavs. And when he got traded to the Cavs, the first thing he did was come back to the community and go to the middle school, go to the high school. I didn't even see him. I just heard that he was in the school, and the word got around to the community that he was doing this. And it's like, man, it can be done. You can go to the NFL or the NBA or the MLB or the NHL. You know, you can do that.
Right.
You know, it's obtainable from this seat that I'm in. And just to be around those kids, that's how I know I can have an influence on youth.
For sure.
And that's why my foundation, 87 Run, that's why I want to be a part of getting ingrained in the underserved or underprivileged kids, both in Cleveland and in Kansas City, because I know what that does for a kid in terms of their confidence, in terms of their drive and just who they want to be. So just being around them, just having a conversation with them, let them know that I'm just a high school ball player just like you were. And I was just out here chasing dreams, and that it is attainable. And then on top of that, the literacy aspect we were just talking about, I made a point of it. I struggled with reading as a kid.
Right. Yeah.
The comprehension side of things, I'd read an entire paragraph and be like, I really don't know what I just read right there.
Let's go back, run it back.
Yeah, run that thing back real quick. But it's just, understanding that if it is a challenge, not to be afraid of, don't close the book. Keep going over it, challenge yourself, find ways to lock in and get through it, because, when you get presented a challenge in life, there's nothing better than beating that challenge. It builds your confidence and just builds who you are, and you grow from it.
Yeah.
Have you had a book, like whether when you were a child or recently, that has really made you fall back in love with reading?
When I was a kid, my dad used to give me a silly book. I loved it. It was a couple of them. Captain Underpants. I don't know if you guys
Oh yeah.
No, I love that one.
Fantastic.
He also used to give me, he knew I loved sports, so he got me Sports Illustrated for Kids.
Oh, yeah.
And I would just roll through that thing
They couldn't
up
come
and
out
down.
quick
Yeah, you know what I mean? Once a month. I needed more
And
of
you got
that.
like the poster right in the middle of all the players and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, those Sports Illustrated for Kids were fantastic.
And I love how Malcolm Gladwell, as an adult, Outliers. I forget the first one I read. It was a while ago, but actually I think Ryan Holland talks about. Right, he came out with a book. The author Ryan Holland came out with a book about Stoicism and being
Ryan
stoic.
Holiday.
Holiday.
Yeah.
There you go.
Ryan Holiday. Yeah.
Sorry about that, Ryan.
Sorry,
yeah,
Ryan.
Ryan Holiday came out with a book about Stoicism, and
he's
I
got-
would just sit
actually,
there and I would just roll through it, and they would talk about emperors and everybody back in the day that just had a beautiful mindset on life and how not to get too high or too low through everything. And it was a very unique book, and just kind of took pieces from it. Sat there, just read a chapter a day.
It's a 4-part series now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
So there's another one called Obstacles.
I got to
the
get
Way.
more into it then.
Yeah, you can follow up. I can send you the series if you.
Dude, I'm telling you, I
all right.
love that stuff.
All right, I'll get it. I guess just wrapping that up, the one thing that's so fun for me when I'm there is that you get the tight ends, and it's like, chickens all over, we're on the football field, and, NFL guys, yeah, they're kind of doing their own thing. So we get on the bus, we have like 5 minutes to drive over, we give them kind of directions, they get up there, and then we make everybody introduce, and they said, and I thought articulated very well this notion about reading and why they're there and all that. And then when I'm walking around, here are these guys, and a lot of them I'd never met, they're each at a table with 10 to 14 kids and just totally invested in going at it. So that's pretty cool. Just the way in which we can shift gears, we're, NFL tight end and blah, 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 and with all your guys. And then they shift into that. And the other things too is like, I know the head coach from the school where we brought all the high school kids from, we coached together. And he's still calling me like every week, and he goes, "Dude, it's like the kids are still glowing."
Oh, yeah.
Just like
That's
and it was great too because we got they ended up with $50,000 worth of grant money.
Mm-hmm.
We got $10,000 for their summer flag football program for youth kids, and then another $40,000 for their Bridge the Gap, so they can figure their
awesome,
electronic
man.
stuff. So it's pretty cool.
That's
All right.
making an
Anyway,
impact.
all right, and you won tight end of the year award, so that's pretty cool. All right.
Where'd you put the trophy?
No, they said that they had
You
to
had to
make
give it
one more.
back.
Yeah, I had to give it back. So
Ooh.
yeah.
We'll get on that. We'll get that back to you.
We'll call
Yeah,
Peter.
you know.
The Rubicon
No.
people took it from you?
Yeah.
Amanda's
I'm
got
not
it
even
on
gonna
her
lie. I'm not
desk.
gonna
Yeah,
lie.
Amanda's
I think I
it
just
to
put
the
it on that little desk that so hopefully somebody grabbed it.
Somebody had it. I bet you Todd Graves took it. Todd liked it.
For the Canes guy?
Yeah.
I mean, it is a nice trophy.
You know, Trev, you handed it to him and said, "Hey, you won." And then you walked away, and he was like, "All right, sick."
I love this.
Well,
Awesome.
yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about life with your
Brothers.
brother.
Yeah. Siblings, baby.
Is
All
he
right.
your only sibling?
Only sibling. We don't really have any cousins, at least not around our age. So it was just me and him. And then I guess we had a really homey like community. So we had a lot of friends. We kind of shared friends in that regard.
What's
yeah.
your age gap?
2 years. Jason's 2 years older than me. Born in 1987. This is why I wear 87. I followed his footsteps in a lot of different aspects of life. Sports, every sport I played is because he played. Outside of basketball, that was the only one I chose on my own.
Yeah. Okay. So Cleveland. All right. And Cleveland's kind of that way. I always think of it like with the old front porch houses. And,
Oh yeah, 100%.
you know what I mean? Like it's So I used to be part of a business, and it used to go there a couple times a year and all that, and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all that kind of
The
stuff.
rustic belt, baby.
Yeah,
Right
and
out
but
there,
it was
they all
like
got the
Cleveland. I think it kind of gets a bad rap, but it was always super easy to visit. It was cold if we were there in the winter, but like I'm from Iowa, so like okay, so what? So no
Yeah.
big deal. Okay, so then you get through high school, and you're a big hot shot coming out. It was really interesting. I was looking
That's
at.
actually a great word. That's exactly what I was. I was a hot shot. I needed somebody to chop me down.
Well, okay. Well, so then, I mean, you weren't super high recruited.
No.
I mean, because like Cincy was your only D1, is that right?
I had a lot of MAC offers,
Yeah, okay.
and a lot of guys came, or a lot of teams and colleges came once. Signing day came. The week of signing day came because more scholarships open up when
Yeah.
they don't get their guys.
Right.
So I got a few late that I kind of looked at my dad like, well, that'd be fun. West Virginia for Bob Huggins. That sounds fun.
Oh yeah.
No, you're a man of your word. You're gonna do what you want. And
Because you'd already committed. He's like,
he didn't say it like that. He was just kind of like, he kind of encouraged me to, be a man of my word and do,
Yeah.
you've been committed for months on months on months. And then the week before you sign, you're going to go here and there. But, and shout out to Huggy Bear, man. He's a great guy. But I had Cincinnati on my mind. I knew it was an opportunity for me to go and play quarterback in Division I. My brother was there, and I felt comfortable about that.
That's a big deal.
Gave my family one place to go see both of us, and kind of kept the family together. So yeah.
Also, like all the decommitting and recommitting stuff like today that didn't happen like 10 years ago. It's a completely different landscape. Now it's like, I'm committed for a week, I decommit, then I go on another visit. Like kids will commit and then they'll still go on visits to other places.
It's crazy.
It's a different world now.
It's really true. I mean, 10 years ago and even deeper than that, it was really like commitment was.
Oh, you're in.
It was kind of a thing, and like in some of the other schools, kind of like they'd kind of back off. You know what I mean? It was like this because they had kids that had committed to them, and there was this kind of respect or honor amongst thieves kind of thing with all these coaches.
Honor amongst thieves.
Essentially what it is.
Yeah, so they kind of backed off that way. So, all right, then so University of Cincinnati, and then you get through that. So I know you did a little QB, but then that's really where you made the transition to tight end full time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it straight from quarterback to tight end, or is there any other opportunities?
There was one day at D end.
How's that?
One day.
One day. It was one day.
Went really well for you?
No, it went absolutely miserable. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just hitting like O-lineman right in the chest. Like, what am I doing? Right. This isn't even fun anymore. This is miserable. And it was at a time where I was like trying to get back in the good graces of the team and everything. I partied a little too much my second year of college. It was like my football team in high school. We were like 2-8, 1-9, 3-7. Like and I was the best player on the team. I was like, yeah, being that is just you have potential. You don't know how to get it done. Right. You're just a question, really. And I finally got to a team. We were winning. We went to the Orange Bowl my first year. Went to the Sugar Bowl my second year. Won the Big East 2 years in a row. We're winning, conference championships. Yeah. I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world. Right. I got a highlight on ESPN. The guy, he said my name on ESPN.
Crazy.
Holy smokes.
It's pretty cool when
and it's like I went from having this feeling of like I'm a question to feeling like I'm that.
Yeah.
And the emotion of that, the excitement of that, man, I just want to go out and enjoy this, go out and party, go out and have fun with the guys, go out and have fun with my brother and everybody around, and got carried away and let my happy and positive emotions get the best of me, and paid the price for it. So I missed a year of football. When I came back, the new coach that had just came in, Brian Kelly, was the one who recruited me. He went to Notre Dame. New coach comes in, says, you know what, I don't need a quarterback. I don't need a quarterback. I think you'd be a pretty good tight end or DN. Why don't you give him a try here and on scout team this year for us? And so I did a little bit of scout team DN for a day, and told him, no, I'll just try the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
We'll try and give that a rip.
How big were you that? Like, what was your size?
I was around 230, 235. I was always a bigger quarterback.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I would say I was like when I was playing QB at Cincinnati, I was doing the Wildcat stuff. I was never throwing the ball. So it was always like a inside power, like a Cam Newton or a Tebow inside power. I think that was they got the plays from Florida. So I was running like the Tebow stuff. But
are you closer to Tebow or Cam Newton?
That's a great question. I would say I'd say I'm right in between, dude. I wouldn't say I'm either way. I had a little more shiftiness. I think Tebow was more down there. Yeah, personality for sure.
For sure, right?
1,000%.
You were saying a little shiftier than Tebow?
A little shiftier than Tebow. Tebow was more of a just get through it.
Just straight grit.
Found your way through it. Yeah, he was. He was just a strong.
Who was the
dude.
quarterback when you were at Cincinnati?
So we had a few. We had Tony Pike was the starter my freshman and redshirt freshman year, and he ended up playing in Carolina a little bit, getting drafted. And when he was at quarterback, I was the Wildcat guy.
Yeah.
Because he really couldn't run like that. When he got banged up, he got injured. We put Zach Caleris, that's my dog right there. He's my college roommate. His final 2 years, and he could do it all. He was a dual threat guy. I think he had like 3 or 4 games where he had like 300, 400 all-purpose yards and was throwing touchdowns, running touchdowns, and was just an electric player to watch and be around. He's up in Canada actually now, the highest paid player in Canada, won a few Grey Cups. So he's still killing it. He's still ripping it. Shout out to my boy Zip. So when he came in, it was kind of like I got caught like in the back, just watching my guy ball. But when Tony was there, that was when I really had my opportunity to play.
Okay. So when did you make that full shift to tight end then?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So he's playing, then you were playing tight end and out of the QB scene.
So he was Zach was my quarterback my junior year, and that was the first year I actually played tight end. Okay. I was the backup tight end at the time. We had a pretty good guy that played for the New York Giants, Adrian Robinson. He was the starter, just an absolute big dude, athletic dude. So I was trying to find my mold of how I fit in the offense or how I fit as a tight end. And it wasn't until I got one of my favorite coaches of all time, man, Coach Johnson, man. He helped me out mentally more than anybody that on the football field that I've ever had. And he made everything click for me. He was very good at teaching the run game. He's an old O-line coach at West Virginia. He was at I think he was at Ohio University. I think he's around here, maybe East Tennessee. I have to look it up, but yeah, Coach Jay was awesome on making it make sense, understanding defensive rotation, understanding gap assignment, understanding your pre-snap read to make sure you know the right footwork, the right hand placement, how you're going to work up to the guy and where that next guy is going to fill and things like that. Then on top of that, understanding just zones and leverages. He had me reading defenses like I had never read before. Yeah. I was a quarterback, but I was just out there seeing guys. I wasn't actually like thinking like
kind of the box and these 4 guys, but how they all fit together was like,
So it was he made it all make sense for me, and he would always say this: fuel the fire, man. Find ways to enjoy this game and fuel your heart to like go out there, whether it's you love the game so much or whether you love being accountable for the guy next to you, or you love going out there and making your family proud. Whatever it is, fuel your fire and go out there and just cut it loose, man. And I was
your fire?
My fire was all three of those, to be honest. I love to play the game. I love to play for the guys next to me, and I love going out there and making mom and dad proud.
Sure.
And I was flying around. If you watch my college tape, it was a whole different player. I was about 270, running the wide tight end.
In line most of the time?
In line for just about the entire game, split out maybe on third downs. And you saw me from start to finish. Butch Jones had a kind of his MO was 63 effort. You got 6 seconds of 3 different grade effort. You got your start, you got your middle effort, like you got the start of the play, you got the middle of the play, and then you got your finish. And he told me, he was like, the majority of the guys that I can get drafted, because he had been at lower schools, was you turn on that film and you just see their desire to play the game. Yeah. They are flying around until the play gets cut, until that camera goes off.
That we talk all the time about.
Lie, baby.
No,
finish.
It does not. And that finish
is so huge.
I was finishing everything, and I was getting flags for it, but I was finishing everything, and it showed that I cared and I had a love for this game, man.
I've always rather have somebody that might get 1 or 2 at the end, because the other thing though, it sets the attitude for not just your team, right? They know that shit, man, Travis out there, I got to go too. But then, we always talk about that, trying to leave somebody on the sideline for the opponents. Oh yeah. Like taking somebody like a DE or somebody off, and when you do that and you're finishing guys and doing all that shit, it's just wears their shit out.
I'd rather say woe than go, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, so sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and it worked well enough. You got first team all conference your senior year.
Yeah. So that junior year, I really didn't have much going on. I was kind of like the second tight end, but that's my senior year. I went into it. I was like, "This is the last shot, bud. better put a full game plan together." And I just took the leadership role altogether. I stopped partying. I stopped going out. I really just focused on my craft to try and get to the next level. And yeah, it all took off for me. The stars aligned.
Funny how it fits together.
You're right.
Start doing all those things. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So we're supposed to be talking about him and his brother.
Well, his brother was there, but the last
I talk way too much. I talk way too much.
I'm gonna reel it back in because I just remember we were talking about that growing up together, and then you hosted Saturday Night Live, which is probably one of the coolest things.
One of the coolest
no
things.
Because I mean, you grew watching it, all the
1000%.
fantastic people that have been a part of it, made all the funny skits. But I'm Jason might have stole the show in one of your opening monologues.
He was good.
He was fantastic.
He's the best, man.
So I mean, yeah, talk to us about that. What was your highlight of SNL? Well, yeah, I mean, because was your whole family there too for
everybody? SNL? Yeah, everybody was there. We had the whole crew in there. The Kelce crew was there. Jason is he's always been the artsy kind. He grew up playing music. He taught himself the guitar in college. I think he played 5 instruments in high school and ended up playing with either the Cleveland Jazz or Cleveland Orchestra at one point.
That's pretty cool.
What instrument?
He's a saxophone, baritone sax.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
she's super sick.
Do you play an
what
instrument?
can he do? No, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. I admire him in this regard, but and he still can play the guitar. He's obviously, we were just talking before that he's got his Christmas album and he's going to let me be a part of it. So I don't know if I was supposed to let the cat out of the bag there. But
yeah,
yeah. So he's artsy in that regard. He was actually in swim cadets. He was a male swim cadet. And I remember that. I don't know
what's a swim
why.
cadet?
What's a swim cadet?
You don't know what a swim cadet is?
It's like orchestrated dance in the water.
Orchestrated dance in the water.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just checking.
How old was he when he did that?
He was in high school.
That's amazing.
And he actually had a solo with his saxophone on the diving board.
Incredible. Is there a clip of this somewhere?
There has to be.
1,000. That was the only way I saw it because when I heard he was doing it, I was like, dude, I'm not going to witness you do this.
Did he wear a Speedo? Did he have to wear a Speedo?
I think he wore just swim trunks. But he, yeah, I forget how it came about, but it's
incredible.
What a
so
performer.
he's the real star. I'm the one that has fun and catches touchdowns. He's the one doing all the dirty work. But he's yeah. So in that regard, I knew he was going to kill it on SNL. I was hoping that we could get him in more skits than just that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe next time, if there is a next time. But that was the coolest part of this Super Bowl. Wasn't even really the game for me. It was being able to showcase my family at a national level, man.
So sick.
It was not everybody gets to be able to put their family in everyone's living room gets to talk about it and gets to show how appreciative you are of them. And my parents deserve that so freaking much because of the life they gave me growing up and all the support through the ups and the downs of both me and my brother's life, because my brother didn't even have a scholarship going to Cincinnati in the first place. He was a walk-on linebacker, kind of created a name for the entire family for me to be able to just follow his footsteps, both in college and in the NFL. Put his name on the line, or put our name on the line, and begged for me to get a second chance at the University of Cincinnati when I got kicked off. Lived in his literally his room. We were roommates in college. His going into his senior year, because I didn't have a scholarship. I got mine took, so he was just like, I'll pay for I'll pay for this, I'll pay for that. I'll make sure you're good. Just get back on the right track. So. Seeing him in that moment and being able to enjoy it with him along the way, man, there's nothing better, baby. There's nothing better.
It's pretty amazing because the Super Bowl, it's the first time in the history of the NFL that two brothers have faced each other on opposing teams, and it's just like, man, that's kind of cool. I mean, you kind of think it would happen, but I mean, there's not that many families that have two guys playing, so it's pretty cool.
There's been a few where they've played on the same team.
Yeah.
But there's never been two that have played against each other, which is pretty cool.
Also,
But
two that started
also
a podcast that same
weird.
year.
Yeah, that was wild.
Crazy.
That was wild for it to start up like that, and
Both
the
played, and
script
we
being
both
right.
had great seasons too. And I just like to see that side of Jason, because you don't see that side of Jason because
Exactly.
they don't. Offensive linemen don't get that coverage. They don't get that access, and no one talks about how cool they are because they don't score touchdowns.
They're arguably the coolest guys on the team.
They're the coolest people in the league.
Although the Eagles O-line, the nude series they did, I mean, they've gotten a little pub.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it's not exactly, they haven't
They
been
have
too tame over
exposure.
there in Philly, you know what I mean? They're
Exactly.
talking some shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're pretty damn good. So
Everyone thought I would have been on the body issue. Nah, Jason jumped on that thing before.
right. I know, those
Great,
pictures
yeah,
are
he's
terrific.
Crushed it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, let's see. We did that, and then so eventually we kind of skipped from Cincinnati, drafted third round, and I listed this. We don't have to do too much with it, but at the time, because Jason had already gone, he's with the Eagles, and at the time there, Coach Reid was the Eagles head coach and drafted Jason, and then by the time you came around, his time, I think it was 14 years or so. He was head coach 12 or 14 years.
There's a bunch, yeah.
In Philly, he had come to KC. And so he obviously knew Jason, kind of the fam and all that kind of stuff. And so then you end up getting drafted by Coach Reid to KC.
Yeah, his son actually played. His son actually played for Temple. My senior year in Temple, I just got into the Big East, so we played at the Lincoln Financial Field against Temple, and I met Coach Reid in the hallways that game, and it was just cool. I went up to him like I knew him my entire life.
He said you were kind of busting his ass.
He's a very, I don't want to say intimidating guy. He was more intimidating once I saw him in like football mode. That was kind of like family mode for him. And so once I got to Kansas City, it was more like, oh, I better tighten up here. I can't just be loose as a goose. Yeah, let's dial it in. But he's the best, man, the absolute best. Not just because of the wins and the losses and the unbelievable football mentality, but he's just a leader of men.
Yeah.
And I appreciate his desire to, have that year in, year out, day in, day out. His accountability, man. I say it all the time. I never see his car leave the parking lot. And he's always either the first one in, last one out, or he just sleeps up there. I don't know. It's one or the
He
other.
has a secret room somewhere he just passes
Right?
out.
So, but he's just been an unbelievable, coach, leader in my life, both on and off the field. He's kind of directed me in the right way in a lot of different aspects. There were some times where I would do something like a social media deal or a commercial or something like that, and he'd come up to me and say, "Hey, man, don't let him write the script, bud. I don't like to see you in that light. And what he was doing is he was just looking out and looking for my best well-being. And as much as I like to have fun with, being the big, loud, exciting this and that, I am, still a humble guy, and I'd like to, show that to the world too.
Yeah. So that brings me to a couple questions I had, because I listened to that podcast you guys did with him, which was really terrific.
Oh, man, it's
And
the best.
I've always had a great respect for.
He doesn't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
I know.
He cut it loose for us, man. It was so
He
much
was
fun.
great. So he said in that podcast, he said, my first 5 years with Travis, he described it as a war. He So that he said that was a battle, and the next 5 have been heaven. So I guess, you know what, just speaking of him as a developer of men, because, you know, that's so true. We think of these college guys as being all mature, but we know huge growth. And then getting to the NFL, and we're around NFL guys, and you can see those first 2, 3, 4 years, there's so much maturation that goes on and learning the business and doing all that kind of stuff. So, like, how did he help guide you? And I know you kind of mentioned it, but then what happened in, like, somewhere 4, 5, and 6 that, I mean, it's almost like college that you decided to get more serious, but what was going on that, you know, you weren't everything you wanted to be in those first 4 or 5 years, although you're still playing some pretty good ball.
Yeah.
But like, what was that transformation? What was the transition, and how did he help guide you in that?
I think it was all just being under his regime and like kind of seeing the coming and going of players and more accountability being put on me. And, you know, I wanted that. I kind of walked in my first couple of years, really my first probably 3, 4 years, like, oh man, I'm just the young guy here, you know, and I was 26, 27 going into my third, 4th year. So it was like, man, look yourself in the mirror and really figure it out, man. You're here. Like you're not playing against grown men as like as a young adult.
You're the grown man.
You're the grown man.
You're the guy now.
And you got to start acting like, you got to start playing like it. Yeah. And the people around you are you know, they need you to be that.
Yeah.
And Coach Reid did a great job of just staying on top of me every single day. And I started to really just kind of gain his mentality. I started to take pieces out of everything he was saying to everyone else around.
Right.
And just started running with it. And now we're in a situation where I'm trying to get that into everyone else's head, right? And I'm trying to pass that along to the next generation. I say it all the time, man. We got a guy, Noah Gray, in Kansas City, man. I love that dude to death. He is so far beyond where I was when I was his age, man. He was he just gets it. He was way more mature coming in. He was way more focused and knew that he could be a leader in his own regard, even being a young guy. And he's taking off with it, man. He's going to keep getting better with it.
So you know that Noah's agent's the same as George's.
Yeah.
And so like for the 6 months before he got drafted,
He was down here.
Yeah,
man,
and then we did weekly mindfulness and breathing.
Bruce was coaching him up.
Yeah, we did all the breath work stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was pretty cool. 'Cause I still remember the first session. He's like, "Wait a minute, what are we gonna? We're gonna what? You know, like
We're gonna do what?"
I go, dude, just trust me for that. But yeah, so it's been super fun to kind of see that. Well, that's pretty cool when somebody hands you that, and then at least you were awakened enough to kind of see the opportunity and seize it for what it was. You know, the other thing I guess I wanted to I just feel like Coach Reid has, you know, and particularly with you, has really evolved the nature of the position of tight end.
Yeah.
And so, and I think with George too, I mean, Niners obviously were a little bit more in line than you guys and played the 2-back and all that kind of stuff. And you guys aren't quite there. You're really a lot, you know, kind of 4-receiver spread set. You're a slot receiver a lot, although extended too. So how have you seen the game change in the time with Coach Reid? Because I think that's pretty fascinating. Because I really think the league is seeing the nature of that position completely turn over. I mean, now you've got
It's completely different than it was 5 years ago.
And we were going to talk about this, so you can kind of toss it in. But like in your class was Evan Ingram, who now just signed a great contract.
Shout out to Ev, baby.
Yeah, we're really happy for
Worth
him.
every penny, baby. Worth
Yeah,
every
we want everybody getting
Some
paid.
security, 3 years.
Love that.
Yeah,
Went
so
to Jacksonville.
60% guaranteed.
Yeah, it definitely. I hear what you're saying though. It definitely has. There's almost like 2 to 3 different positions in the tight end position itself.
Exactly. That's
And I started out with Coach Reid, and it was we had Jamal Charles, and we were inside zone, outside zone, power. So I was doing a lot of the inline stuff, and then when Jamal started getting banged up a little bit, we had to find ways to have success as an offense. And Alex Smith was the absolute dog. He was awesome because he could obtain a lot. You could give that guy a lot of different plays, a lot of different styles of plays, and he would be able to
Do it all.
Yeah, he would be able to perform them.
Absolute
So
stuff.
being able to have a great quarterback is, I mean, obviously everyone knows that's the toughest thing is to have a great quarterback. But you have a great one that can obtain a lot of the information, be able to go out there and perform it, and on top of that, be able to find some improvisation, if I'm even saying it right there.
Yeah, whatever you
I
want
like
to
it.
Yeah. They're all
Yeah.
good.
Be able to
You go,
improvise
Doug. Well,
when the time is needed, right? And that was one of Alex's great features too. Is when the play broke down, he could run with it, he could throw on the run, he could find guys.
Freak athlete.
Yeah, he was just all around ball player, and as that started to grow, Coach Reid started to find new ways to implement the West Coast offense that he had, or like the air raid West Coast that slowly developed into the spread of the West Coast.
Yep.
We still have bits of, under center West Coast style ball, and a lot of the pass concepts are still there, but it's kind of like we went from those plays to a spread offense, and now we're running RPOs like they do in college. And what that did is it took me out of running inside and outside zone every single play to now I'm separated from the line on first and second down, and we're running RPOs where if we got guys trying to fill gaps early, we can sneak a 5-yard, 10-yard pass in.
Don't have to block and just catch the ball.
Exactly.
It's great. Yep.
So it kind of evolved with it, and he knew that I had a good feel of where those guys, like on the RPO game, how to replace and how to find the lanes for the quarterbacks. And then obviously when Pat Mahomes came in, you want to talk about a guy that can absorb information and do it all. I mean, that's the A1 in my book, man. He can do it all mentally, physically. If you need him, he was running spread read options in college and finding ways to win ball games. On top of that, he was a drop back quarterback. He can be under center, turn his back to the defense, and still be able to throw the ball downfield. So he was able to give Coach Reid that kind of jack of all trades to where now anything's, it's all on the table. Yeah.
Yeah. Playbook's pretty wide right now, so that's pretty cool.
But Coach Reid just always finds that way of keep evolving, and that's why it's fun to play.
And the great thing too is, like, I haven't gone back and watched all your tape, but you've evolved as a route runner in the context of having that opportunity, because as you move out, and then with Patrick there, and just being with you at tight end, you too, the way in which you guys communicate with each other and how you read and flow and make things work out for you guys. You guys have so much continuity between the two of you, and you understand if the backers over here or whatever, you kind of already know what's going to go down. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
I remember Pat's like first couple of years in the league, you would go to him and be like, hey, what if I ran this against like the cover 2? Like, because Alex was a very like, let's talk about it. Let's, kind of get a structure to it and this and that. And he would tell you, he was like, yeah, do that. No, don't do that. Run out of there. Things like whatever the play may be, he would tell you like, yeah, do this. No, don't do that. Pat would just be like, bro, I don't care. Just get open. Just as long as you're open when I'm looking at you, I'm gonna throw you the ball.
I don't care.
It's like,
just get open.
Just get open.
So if you're not on the numbers, if you're not inside that, I don't give a shit.
If somewhere in the area,
if you're showing color to me and there's nobody around you and I can fit this thing in here, I'm throwing it.
Part of that's because he's never really in the quarterback's position. Like a lot of they're dropping back to 3, 5, and 7 steps. Like he hardly ever throws from that spot.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
he's all over the place.
So he's just going to find you when you're doing that stuff. So,
Well,
all right.
are there, like, just to wrap it up with Andy, are there any like mantras or lessons that, like, when you're in a tough spot or you're playing, that like kind of ring in your head, or things that he always says to you?
I feel like my first couple years, man, I would take everything so darn serious. I would take everything serious. I would take, I'm the point of attack and I didn't get my leverage and we still gained 3 to 4 yards like we want to, but I could have, if I would have sealed them, we could have been out the gate, and that would just mentally just be like, I'm not accountable. I suck, and that's how I watched the film. I would do that, and I would come into practice, and I would just be like, man, I got to get better. Man, I got to get better. And I really wasn't like showing my personality. I wasn't like being me. Yeah. And that's his number one thing is if you're going to play for Coach Reid, showing your personality is the first thing that he's going to tell you to do. You have to enjoy coming into work and enjoy the fact that we get to play a game for a living, that we get to be out here making, a ridiculous amount of money, having fun on a football field, playing in the grass every day. So showing your personality and just enjoying what you're doing, no matter what it is in life, I'm going to take that with me. And then when you screw up, don't take it so serious. But kind of take it real serious.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to fix it.
Yeah.
There's a balance.
100%. Yeah, you got to have the yin and yang for sure.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Well, and that was the other thing, because he talked a lot about how you remember the losses more than the wins sometimes. And I thought he had a really good explanation about just it's all about learning the lessons that are presented. It's not like don't let it weigh you down.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really helpful. Well, let's shift then just a little bit at some point in your career then, and I think all of us face that, there's like this level of kind of negative self-talk sometimes, this criticism and judgment. And it sounds like his coaching style kind of tries to, help you improve and learn it, but at the same time not wear it like some weighted backpack so you can still be free to be yourself. So over the years, in your 10 years in the NFL, how is your kind of mental prep? And we're mindful breathers and all that kind of stuff. But like, what kind of things do you do, and what is your mental prep stuff for games, or just football in general, and like your mindset as you approach all this stuff? Because you have your training, you got practice, and you got games. It's all a little bit different. So how do you approach some of that stuff, and what are some of the things that you do that keeps you aligned and centered?
We were kind of talking about this a little bit at Tight End U. Is I created a professional mindset, so it's completely different from just my day-to-day life. When I walk in the building, I flip a switch and everything's more calculated. Yep. Everything's more, I'm not in an emotional state. I don't like playing with emotion. I like playing with just passion. If you understand, there is a difference, right? Yep. I like to just play for the love of it. I can't let my emotions get up and down because now you're all over the place mentally. And when I can control those emotions, that was one of the biggest things coming out of transitioning from tight end to quarterback, getting back in the good graces of the team. I was very fortunate that of a friend, I was meeting with a psychiatrist or a psychologist just about twice a week. And he gave me a perspective about emotions that I had never gained before. And that's why I mentioned, I let my happy emotions and my exciting emotions kind of get the better of me. Yep. Because if you let that go and you cut it loose, you can get yourself into some trouble. But I think understanding those emotions and being able to channel them in the right way and never getting, too high, too low, that professional mindset that I have, I've created because of all that is, you just flip the switch and decide RIP, the Mamba mentality, he speaks a lot about that as well. Yeah. Where it's just, he turns himself into this competitor where he doesn't let the emotions get to him, because now it affects the people around you. Mm-hmm. And affects how you're portraying yourself. And just having that understanding of the paradigm of how people are looking at you, having an understanding of how you're, just going about your day-to-day life, that can change everything that's going on around you.
For sure. I really love that too about the emotions, because it's like, if you think of your personalities, they can be riding in the car, you just can't let them drive.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So they're not like good or bad, but they can be there. But up front, you got to have yourself driving and being clear about that. So it's almost, you're kind of talking almost like an alter ego kind of thing. Go ahead.
In the Mamba, do you have, and George has different ones that he associates with, like an alter ego. Do you have something that?
I was never creative enough to call it anything. No, I was trying to find it, but now I just call it my professional mindset. Maybe it's the Big Yeti. Sure. Maybe it's the Big Yeti. That started to come out of the box a little bit. I was playing around on the playground in college, and it was like high school kids, and we were playing shirts and skins, and they would just call me the Big Yeti because I'm a hairy son of a buck.
I think that's fair.
So, I don't know. Maybe that's my nickname, the Big Yeti, man.
Yeah, so the Big Yeti walks in and flips the switch, and
boom,
it's like, But that's really true. I think that's part of learning the game and the business of the game and all that kind of stuff and all the mental demands. So that's pretty cool. Okay, excellent. All right, we're going to transition. I want to get to 87 and running, so we're going to kind of wrap up with that. Just before we do that, I wanted to ask this one. So I know you have all kind of respect for your brother, and he's been a super influential. So. But is there one other person who's inspired you in your life, and if so, why?
Non-family?
Kind of. But if you want to name family, it's okay. And if it's mom and dad and brother, that's okay. But I just wondered if there was somebody else outside of that. And I know Coach Reid's been a huge influence for you as well.
Yeah, I would say, I've always kind of had, we're talking about 87 around, I've always kind of had it in the back of my mind, make an impact in more than just, your surroundings. Try and make an impact for the future of kids, of someone's life, whether it's, just making someone smile or holding the door for someone to, give them a positive,
for sure,
whatever it is, click or anything like that. That's kind of how I grew up, and I got that from my mom and my dad. My dad would, all the kids, come on over. We didn't have a boatload of money, but my mom and my dad were, blue collar, hardworking people. Mom grew up worked in the banks. My dad worked in the mills, and whatever they could do for the community, they would do. So kids would come over after school, play around in the backyard, and let's just order some pizzas. Wouldn't even ask everybody if they're hungry. We'd just order pizzas. Like, hey, I got some pizzas here. come in and grab a slice. And everybody, whether they had a meal at home or not, they would come grab a pizza and keep it moving. But it was, that kind of mentality of just, making your impact on someone for whether it's that day or if it clicks for their life. One that's extremely inspiring to me recently, though,
Sure.
Andrew Whitworth, man.
Oh,
What that guy does
he's doing a bunch of
is
stuff.
unbelievable. And his ability to portray that, his ability to speak, and be very understanding of, different styles of life, different ways of life, things that, just a melting pot of like things that people could be going through.
Right.
And to always have that positive mentality and always being there to lend a helping hand. I think when he won the Walter Payton Man of the Year, that speech will resonate in my mind for the rest of my life.
Totally great.
Right?
Yeah,
It's unbelievable.
he's fantastic.
I
Yeah,
know.
a
I
little
was
flyer
gonna
from him.
swat it.
I got to do like my first event. I did like an event with them at, I think last year or 2 years ago, Super Bowl, and it was like my first time ever having a conversation with him. And he's just everything about it is fantastic.
Blows your mind, right?
Oh my gosh, him and Olsen, just dads. Just dads. You want to listen to them. You want them to talk to you about. You want them to give you advice. You're just like, wow. I just want to hang out with you and learn.
My life just got better.
Yeah, I left a better person. Thank you, Mr. Whitworth.
Every time.
Every time. Yeah, no, that's.
Shout out to Big Whit.
Special people.
Cool. You want to lead us into 87 and running?
I'd love to. All right, Mr. Kelce founded 87 and Running as a way to create real and lasting change in the communities he calls home by providing resources and opportunities for underserved children and teens. Your mission is to empower disadvantaged youth to achieve success by providing resources and support to their communities and cultivating their talent in areas of education, business, athletics, STEM, and the arts. We seek to change the outcomes of underserved youth in communities across the U.S. by creating access to opportunities, enrichment, and advancement. It's pretty awesome.
Should that
It's
memorized.
87 and running.
Should that memorized too.
Yeah, I did. I memorized that. That's awesome.
No, it is
What
fun.
is STEM?
STEM is science, technology. It's basically like science, math, and all the extracurriculars in between.
Yeah.
Engineering. So 87 and running. I founded it in Kansas City, or I started in KC. We've reached out into Cleveland a little bit, my hometown. But for the most part, I've just been in Kansas City trying to make the youth, or give youth opportunities that they wouldn't have otherwise. And it's been amazing to see them run with it. There's an unbelievable group that's already there that's really, doing the groundwork. It's called Operation Breakthrough. Yeah. Shout out to OB. They've been there for an extremely long time. It was founded by nuns, and the nuns were just basically providing for these kids and really trying to make life better for the communities around them. I teamed up with them, created an ignition lab, which was basically a whole bunch of STEM programs. I think there's up to eight different programs in there. You could do everything from engineering. There's literally like a welding shop in there. They turned a 1970 Chevelle into a Tesla. They threw a Tesla engine on it, and it runs on energy now.
Pretty sick.
So that's what the high school kids are doing. But when I started 87 and running, I teamed up with Operation Breakthrough. It started with just like kindergarten through 8th grade, and then finally got some stuff for the high school kids. And this is stuff that the kids can go to after school and keep them out of trouble, and give them things that other careers outside of just sports and what they got going on already in the schools to be able to latch on and really have a love for it.
You opened your facility a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing like the sketches for that, and that's in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's in KC. It's a part of Operation Breakthrough.
All right, cool.
So they have the people in place to be able to run it, and it's not just those kids. They have bus loads from other schools and all over the Kansas City area to come in, and you learn coding at an extremely young age. So they get the tech side of things. They get
awesome.
the engineering side of things. You can leave if you do a certain program. I think you can leave with a CAD license, so you can go straight into having a really high-paying job straight out of high school. If college isn't your thing, there's a lot of different areas that it can go. They have a robotics team that have won a few gold medals that I got hanging up on my wall at the house. It's been cool to see them run with it, and every time I go back there, just knowing that the kids are using it is all that I really care
Just
about.
providing an awesome opportunity for so many people.
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
sick.
So
heartwarming.
why?
You know, I heard when I was in like high school that that certain communities didn't even have enough equipment to serve like sports, and I was like, man. And sports is kind of like one of the main things that I thought school was about growing up. You know, like I grew up, I was like,
I didn't know
man.
there was anything else. Like,
Exactly.
we got to go to class. What?
They don't even have the equipment to go to. And then I realized that I went to a very unique high school that has extracurricular activities going on, like music, and we had a mechanics shop, and it was just like it had all these, you know, it had some way of funding all of this so that the kids and people could have this. You know, I know kids that were in that mechanic class that now are mechanics. You know,
for sure. Same
and
with
it's, you know, I know musicians that are now, or were kids that were in music class that are now musicians. Yeah. And it's like being able to give kids that access or just that ability to attach themselves to something that they don't even know is fun yet.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was everything. And that was something that I really, you know, I really like kind of gravitated towards when I saw Operation Breakthrough wanting to give the kids that.
Okay.
So it originally started out by me just kind of sponsoring the robotics lab for the kindergarten through 8th grade. And then it moved on to, man, what are these kids doing in after high school?
Right.
You know, let's try and provide something to where they can run with it, you know? And that's where it came all together, and we teamed up with Operation Breakthrough on that, and it's the rest is history.
It certainly is. So that's pretty cool. Well, we will. We'd like to post. We'll put stuff all in the notes.
Yeah,
so
please.
the best way to support is then go to the website.
87running.org. Yeah.
Okay, we pulled it up and checked it out. So we'll add that, and then we will also make. So I don't know if George told you this, but all of our guests get to select a charity, and we make our donation to that.
Oh, man, you
and
guys
so
are too
we'll
cool.
we'll draw a Kittle donation onto 87 and Running to
Appreciate
support
that,
your
guys.
efforts. Yeah, no, we're excited to do that. And you know,
We'll do some good with it. We'll
so
do
the
some
name
good
of the podcast is Hidden Pearls.
Yes.
And the reason is because we believe everybody's got a little hidden pearl inside of them. And so you, Mr. Kelce, sharing this story, you're Mr. Yeti and big and tough in the football field. But I just want to say it has been so fun to get to know you in a more personal way through Tight End U and even this. And just, you know, your love for kids and your willingness and try to make a difference and to give back is very, very inspiring. So it's pretty cool because you could just kind of be sitting back, chill, and doing all that kind of stuff. And you are, but you're still doing some other stuff, which is pretty cool. So anyway, all right, I've got a rapid fire 3 questions to close, wrap it out. Okay?
I think you should both do it.
We'll each do one.
We'll each do one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is it? Wait. Is it like me and Travis should each do it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, fine.
I'm in.
Okay.
Fine.
Wait, he gets to read them.
I'm reading them.
He already knows.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I haven't read them yet.
Huh?
I haven't read them yet.
Oh, good. Well, then you don't. So then who's going to go first on the first one?
I'll go first. I'll
Okay. Rapid fire. So as soon as he answers, then we're coming to you.
Can't wait.
Okay, here we go. Most important thing for me in my life is?
Family.
Family.
Yeah.
Bam. Okay. I tried to set you up for one
was
there.
pretty- that was
Okay.
easy.
If I could change one thing in the world, it would be?
The tight end pay grade.
That's a good one.
I love that one.
That was the
That
first
was
thing that
sick.
came to
Can't
mind.
copy that one.
First thing that came to mind.
Come on.
That's an equal opportunity for everybody.
There we go. Hey.
All right.
Including tight
That
end
one's a
pay
little
grade.
All
more.
right.
that
Including
one-
tight
that one-
ends.
That one's a
and
little
you
more
know,
important. Yeah.
Running back pay grade as well.
I had that on my list, but
I
we're
know.
kind of running out of time,
I know.
but we kind of skipped that. I was like, did you see that stuff by Derrick Henry?
No, did you see every single running
Every
back?
running back
you
posted.
see that on Twitter? Every single running back came out and like talked about it. And I mean, it's absolutely brutal. You have a guy like Chris McCaffrey, the highest paid one. He's at 16 million, but he accounts for almost 2,000 yards a year.
Right.
And there are second and third string wide receivers or second string defensive ends that make more money than he does. And then you're looking at like Derrick Henry, like he's been the most dominant
I
running
know.
back.
And those guys, they
carry
play
the-
like maybe 15 to 20 plays a game.
Yeah, some of
It's
these guys
stupid.
play like 15 to 20 plays a game. Or like, and like wide receiver, like they play a lot of snaps, but it's like, yeah, you run like 25, 30 routes, and then you're kind of blocking on some of those plays too, but they're still getting paid over $20 million.
It's crazy.
It just blows me away how.
The wear and tear for the RBs is
Oh.
the worst.
And
For anybody.
the business side of it's just brutal, but it's just you force feed these guys. Like I'm pretty sure in the playoffs, like Christian had like 30 touches in a game. I'm just like, he's responsible of half of our offense, or Derrick Henry's responsible for 75% of Titans' offense. Like how do you not give them the money to represent that workload? But hey, we're out here, tight ends, running backs. We'll come together. We'll come together. We'll make it.
It'll happen eventually.
There's our pitch. Okay, last question then.
All right, cool.
Going to Travis first. I am most grateful for.
The great people in my life.
He's pretty good. Yeah, no, I was going to go down the road of family and Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes. I'm grateful for you.
Very fair. Just the great people that surround me and help me through all the shit that we go through as football players and humans. And life's hard sometimes, but when you have a great circle around you, it makes it a lot easier. And it makes it a lot more worthwhile.
Okay.
Makes it fun.
I like that. And then the very last question.
Ooh.
What are 1 to 2 things you see out in the world that are giving you hope?
One thing that's giving you hope right now.
One thing that's giving me hope?
I can go first, too, if you want me to.
Yeah, go first.
Okay.
I'm going to go with rapid questions.
Let's see. One thing that's giving me hope right now, I would say the start of the NFL season coming back. Like, just the excitement behind it, the people who love it, all the fans. Like, you can just feel this energy, surging back into it. And it just lights a fire in you, and it makes you super excited to wake up every single day and just get going. And football season is one of my favorite times because I spend so much time with all my friends on the team. But my parents get to go to every single game. Living in California for those 6 months too. It's just like it's because I live here for 6 months. I'm in California for 6 months, so it's always so much fun. And the fact that we get to play a kids game, every single week, and we get to go practice football, and I get to go block Nick Bosa. I get to line up next to Trent Williams. Like, it's a dream come true. Yeah. And so the fact that it just gives me hope, and it just makes me very happy every single day.
Nice. We play a game of hope, man. My brother said that one day, and it really registered for me. I would say what else is going on in the world? There's a writer's strike going on right now.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I got some hope that that all that gets ironed out because I got a lot of writers and a lot of actors and a lot of people that I've met on SNL that
a lot of good people out there.
A lot of unbelievable people that should get paid
a lot more
and get appreciated the right way.
Oh my gosh.
Especially when you see what some of the CEO people make. I saw somebody makes over $350 million. I'm just like,
there's actors that they'll have 5 or 7 scenes, 5 to 10 scenes, like, TV show and all that kind of stuff, and they still don't make enough to qualify for health insurance under the union agreement. It's like you got to make like, I don't know, it's like
it's crazy.
It's just insane right now. So
that will, hopefully that goes really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're super hopeful. So
tight ends are just here. We just want people to get paid the money that they deserve for the work that they put
running
in.
backs, yep.
Running backs,
writers,
tight ends,
writers.
Yeah, so it's all
writers, actors, all the camera guys. Let's get these guys paid.
Yeah. Well, all right, Travis,
that.
thank you so much. We've really appreciated sharing your story and
Too much
learning
fun.
a little bit more. It's really been great. Thank
Too
you.
much fun.
All right.
I thought I was going to come into this thing crying when you were saying we were going to talk about Jason and
Well, the
Cincinnati.
one question we
So
jumped over.
I'm glad I didn't make it through.
Because I had one question.
Let's bounce back real quick.
Remember the one I have about Jason?
Let's see. Oh, what is one thing that you admire about your brother and are grateful for?
His pride in his family. I mean, it just registers for me just probably more than anything else is his want for my success, if not more or just as much as his. And it's been that way since I was a kid, seeing him get pumped up when I was playing basketball games, and he was the pep band leader and whenever he could get to a game. When he was, his just desire for life and his want for the family and the people around him to enjoy just as much as he does.
Fuck yeah.
That's what I admire about him.
That's pretty.
And his little girls, his desire for those little girls.
That's sick. Siblings are cool.
Right? The best.
Cool. All right.
Pretty fun.
Guess that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
All right.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Podcast.
Take care. Enjoy.